Smith hired young Lonnie Napier, then 18 years old. Lonnie became Bob's jack of all trades.
Well, I got out of high school and then went to radio school, and a friend of mine, his father, broadcast race results on XCRB, because the XCRB, what they were doing was the only real radio show on the station at the time was Wolfman, and I think he was doing like 3 to 6, and then at night he was doing like 10 to 1 or something like that, and the rest of it was all sold block programming. A lot of preachers. He had a company called Turfcraft who was buying racing results. He said, listen, I know Wolfman, which at the time they all called him Bob, and he said, let me give Bob a call, and he called him, and Bob said, come on up, send him on up. I was like 18 years old, send him on up to L.A., went up to L.A., and he said, look, I'll put you to work. And so that's how it all started, and I was editing tapes of phone calls and things like that, and taking all the time elements out, and nothing could say nighttime, nothing could say Los Angeles, I'm down here on Wilshire Boulevard, it's cold, it's hot. It all had to be real generic. It was great, you know, I went to work for him. I was just a kid, like I said, at 18 years old, and I'd, you know, sometimes stay at the station for 2-3 days in a row without ever going home, and you like that, you know. So.
By the time Lonnie was hired, XCRB had moved from the original pink stucco building on Sunset Boulevard to a new location.
On Sunset Boulevard, they had the pink XCRB building, and we were on near 6th and Western.
And that was a more deluxe setup,
yes,
wasn't it?
Wolfman owned the building, him and his partner, Marvin Kosofsky, and Marvin had Universal Radio at the time, and still does, as a matter of fact. And Wolfman was building a 16-track studio downstairs when I came in.
In the early 1970s, the end of all the fun and money-making came to Wolfman Jack and all of his compadres at XCRB.
We only had a staff of about 7 people that ran XCRB, and that was a big 50,000-watt clear channel, you know, that was doing like $100,000 a month, and it was costing like $50,000 a month to operate the station. So the station was making a profit about $50,000 a month. And then this new president comes into Mexico, throws all the preachers off the air, and the old Wolfman went down the tubes, went down into way down there.
What happened was Wolfman was making a lot of money. I mean, he was doing really, really well, probably bringing home just personal cash, you know, plus he was doing a lot of trade-outs, furniture, clothes, cars, you name it. Plus he was probably, you know, making, you know, $30,000 to $40,000 a month, just pocket money. And the Mexican government knew this, and he was paying them a lease fee, whatever that was. I think it was at the time $20,000 a month or something like that. And so they said, well, why do we need to give him all this money? Why can't we just, you know, get more money out of this deal? And so he said, no, why should I pay you more money? We have a deal here. Well, what they did was they came in and said, look, they went to the Mexican government, and they made a ruling. You know, the Mexicans down there, they'll do anything they need to do, you know, whether it be legal or not. And they don't have the same basis of fair play in politics. Anyway, they decided that all this religious broadcasting was detrimental to the Catholic youth of Mexico. So they ruled that there could be no more religious broadcasting on a Mexican radio station. They decided that now he can't broadcast, but you can go ahead and hold on to the station if you'd like. You know, he had people like Reverend Eichencoder bringing him $100,000 in cash in a you know, brown paper bag in the middle of the night. There was no way that he could keep doing that. I mean, overnight, change over, and still keep paying $20,000, $30,000 payments. I mean, we were selling advertising, but the biggest majority of the advertising was trade-out stuff because all of his money was coming from the preachers. So in comes a guy by the name of Gilbreth, says, well, okay, I mean, they had already had this guy set up to take over the station, and they decided to just turn it into a totally music station. So they changed it from XCRB to XPRS. And, of course, that only lasted about a year.